So I'm going to show you my conversion of the Dapol Class 73 to P4. I've now done two of these. The first one is Southwestern trains and the second one is Southern Gatwick Express liveried Class 73. Now the first conversion has taken me about 3 months and I've got less hair now because I've been pulling my hair out over this one. It derailed, of course, lots of times, very difficult to sort out, but I have eventually got it working 100%. So I've now moved on to the second one in a couple of weeks, and that's all gone quite well, except when I came to the problem of StayAlive. Now, I didn't really need a StayAlive because the wiring I had done meant it seemed to be working virtually 100% anyway. But I wanted to put a capacitor in, and I'm just going to show you what I did with the Zimo capacitor and the StayAlive. Up to now, my knowledge of Zimo decoders has been quite limited, and I checked through the internet and I found this website called uchoose.co.uk, and I've got all my information from it. It has an absolute wealth of information and shows you how to fit the various Zimo decoders into the various locomotives and what options you have. So I found the StayAlive page, which shows you how to fit a StayAlive to the Zimo decoder, and in particular the MX644, that's C or D decoder. Most capacitors are for 16 volt, but for the MX644, for a direct connection, it requires a 25 volt capacitor, and the one shown is using a 1000 microfarad capacitor. The YouTube website also shows you various photographs of the fitting of these capacitors to the Zimo MX644 decoder. So what was the result? Well, it wasn't really very impressive, was it? Let's look at it again and pay particular attention to the headlamp. Here is a still showing the model in mid-air and clearly showing that the headlamp is still on. So it did work for a little bit, proving that the capacitor was working. So my idea was to change from a 1000 microfarad capacitor to a 3300 microfarad capacitor, and this is shown on the uchoose website. The problem with this option is that the larger the capacity of the capacitor, the bigger it's going to be, and then of course it may not fit. So I decided to ring uchoose directly, and I spoke to Richard, who was extremely helpful and told me the options and what he suggested, and I'll come to that in a few minutes. First, I'm going to just show you the dismantling of the capacitor. Here is the capacitor that, as you can see, fits quite neatly inside the space provided above the motor in the Class 73. Now I am delicately removing the chip, prising it using the blade of a screwdriver and just lifting it very gently away from the 21 pins. I described the problem to Richard, and he did point out that on his website it does say to expect only 1/4 of 1 second StayAlive, which is not very much. It can be significant. Nevertheless, I suggested to him that I always expected about 2 seconds of StayAlive. I use steel track, not the nickel silver, and with steel track using steel tyres on the wheels, there is a problem of rust, and I don't want to clean it every 5 minutes, and the StayAlives help to solve that problem. There are great advantages of using steel track for grip. Grip is a lot better, but you do get the problem of rust. Richard suggested to me that I use the Zimo GoldCap's energy storage, which typically has 3 to 5 seconds of rundown time. The problem being, though, that it's 16 volts, and not the 25 volts required for direct connection. Now the way round this is to use the U-Choose Life Link, and if that's in the circuit then there shouldn't be a problem. But now I'm thinking there's going to be a capacitor and a circuit board, and is there going to be enough space? So here is the U-Choose Life Link StayAlive connection circuit and the Zimo StayAlive capacitor array. The thing about these two components are that they are extremely small, and couldn't really just appreciate it from the dimensions, but having received the components I can tell you that they are extremely small, and they fit very neatly underneath the plastic hood above the motor. The first thing I do is to flux the wire and then tin it. A quick word about the flux that I use. It is flux for brass, nickel, silver and white metal, and I buy it from Hobby Holidays, and this is their website. Basically, to solder successfully, you need 4 things. You need good flux, a good solder, you need to clean all the surfaces, and then you need a very hot iron. I use 400 degrees centigrade, and it's got to be big enough that it will maintain its heat whilst soldering. I use a Zytronic LF 1700 100 watt soldering iron, which again was originally purchased from Hobby Holidays. Here I am tinning all 4 connections of the Life Link StayAlive connection circuit. Now I am attaching the 2 wires from the StayAlive capacitor array to the Life Link PCB. Note that although I have tinned each separate wire, before attaching it to the PCB I again flux it. So with the aid of the very hot iron, I've then just got to touch the 2 surfaces and they instantly solder together, and the hot iron doesn't have to remain in contact for very long. I am now repeating the process for the attachment of the decoder to the PCB. Of course, you've got to make sure that each wire, each positive and negative is correct, but the U-Choose website clearly shows what to do. Finally, after the successful test, I wrap each component in Kapton tape and install it in its permanent position underneath the plastic hood in the locomotive. The Kapton tape will protect the components from heat and electrical conductivity with the motor. So here goes, let's put all this effort to the test. I wonder what's going to happen. But the first thing is to check that everything is working as it should. Then we will lift it off the track and see how much StayAlive we've got. I wonder what it will be, 2 seconds? Or maybe, if we're fortunate, 3 seconds. What do you think it will be? So that's not bad for slow running. That's on speed step 2, the 128. I could even do it on speed step 1, but you want to see something. So it looks like everything is in pretty good order. And now for the big test. Wow, that was 15 seconds. I think we can call that a success.